Judging by what's happening, the fishermen have hooked a marlin of considerable size. But it seems the catch wasn't going to give up so easily. Instead of obediently following the line, this fish decided to counterattack and with full force leapt right onto the yacht's deck. The fishermen clearly did not expect such a turn of events, and real panic broke out among them. One frantically rushed to catch the rampaging fish, but handling it proved to be no easy task. The second one, apparently deciding that battling the marlin was beyond him, simply jumped overboard. I hope nothing was waiting for him in the water, an even larger predator. But the most surprising is the elderly man. While chaos, running, and shouting are happening around him, he stands there as if he's seen it all before. Maybe it's not the first time a marlin has attacked his boat, or perhaps he just has nerves of steel. In any case, we wish these fishermen good luck and strong tackle. Who knows, next time they might encounter something even more determined. And now I move on to the next video. Every fisherman knows that a permit to fish in designated areas must be obtained from the regulatory authorities. But does this rule always work? Here is direct evidence to the contrary. The video author captures a sea lion swimming along the shore. No one was bothered by the fact that it was swimming so close to people, but as practice showed, they should have been more cautious. So, after a short patrol around the perimeter, the sea lion decided to come out and tell the local fishermen that it hadn't given its permission to fish. No one expected such a sudden greeting. One of the men, shocked by what was happening, ran in the opposite direction. But as we can see, he hadn't been running for a long time. Where he was, very bad at it. From now on, remember that you're not alone when fishing. There will always be those who want to assert their rights to you, whether you like it or not. In this video, we can observe a textbook example of what not to do with fish during winter fishing. First and foremost, I want to point out that the fisherman should have kept his head warm. Perhaps then he wouldn't have made such rash decisions. After catching the fish from the ice hole, the unfortunate fisherman didn't unhook the pike and left it 30 centimeters from the escape point. I can assume that the fisherman chose a hook that was too small, which the fish simply swallowed. That's why the young man went to get additional tools. But the catch certainly wasn't thinking about that. At that moment, it was driven by a completely natural instinct. The instinct of survival. When I first watched this video, I learned two important lessons. The first one, never give up. Even the pike understands this. Taking advantage of the situation, the fish used its last bit of strength to head towards the saving ice hole. With some effort, the pike managed to get into the water with a few jerks. And the second lesson, life, sometimes, charges us too high a price for its lessons. The poor fisherman, having missed the escape, lost not only the fish but also his rod, which means a complete failure for him. What was particularly amusing was how the pike waited for its chance to escape. The fish didn't even show signs of life until the fisherman was out of the frame. But as soon as he moved away, the pike was unstoppable. We sympathize with the fisherman and move on. In this video, we can once again observe how the struggle for resources among animals occurs. As we can see, a group of men caught a rather unusual catch, a small shark. Gradually pulling the catch onto the shore, the men did not expect what awaited them next. At first, I thought all the problems would come from the shark, which is a dangerous predator. But the ending of this video was more unexpected. As soon as the shark was on the sand, the video author changes the frame and turns his gaze back to the water. It turned out that another character, a crocodile, was also after the fisherman's catch. It quickly crawled up to the shark and tried to grab it. The fishermen were not about to give up their catch and quickly gave the thief a hit on the head. Crocodiles understand the language of force very well. That's why the unlucky robber immediately headed back into the water. And we move on. The next video is on the edge of reality and staging. Although I am more inclined to think that the fisherman was incredibly lucky. What do we see? A cheerful fisherman is working with two fishing rods. Apparently, he caught something on the hook. Another fish. When the man was pulling it towards the boat, he suddenly had a bout of clumsiness. As a result, he lost the fishing rod and his mood was spoiled. But the fisherman decided not to get discouraged, as he still had the second one. He held on to this rod more firmly, and for good reason. Along with the fish, the guy was lucky enough to retrieve his lost rod. It seems to me that the fish from the first rod got tangled with the second one. That's the kind of catch it turned out to be. 2 fish and 1 rod. If only everyone could be so lucky. If you think that fish never jump into a fisherman's hands on their own, then you are greatly mistaken. Watch this video and reconsider your opinion. The author of the recording and his friends didn't bring along nets, but it's obvious that they encountered the first type of fish that feels uncomfortable in the water. How else can you explain what's happening? Yes, there are flying fish, but they live in the sea, and this is some local body of water. In general, if you were looking for a fisherman's paradise, here it is. But all jokes aside, I decided to find out why fish might behave this way for the sake of development. And I found out that one of the reasons fish love to jump high is the simple lack of oxygen in the water. The video clearly shows that the body of water is very polluted, which leaves less room for oxygen in the water, so the fish have to get it outside of the water. That's how it is. I decided to show you this video solely because of its intrigue. From the first seconds, it creates the impression that we are about to witness a real triumph of a fisherman. See for yourself. A murky river with a strong current, the fisherman is in full combat readiness. And he is carefully watching the float, waiting for the perfect moment to reel in the long-awaited catch. And there's even an assistant nearby, ready to back him up in case of a big catch. And here comes the long-awaited moment. The fisherman suddenly starts reeling in, pulling something mysterious from the depths. The water is bubbling. The current seems to try to drag the catch back, but the fisherman doesn't give up. He persistently pulls the catch closer and closer. At some point, a dark spot flashes in the water. The tension rises. The assistant rushes to help, already anticipating a big trophy. And finally, they pull a rubber boot out of the water. What a twist! I was already starting to believe in this catch, honestly. I still can't figure out if it's a brilliant setup or pure coincidence. In any case, it must be admitted that a rubber boot is probably the most harmless thing you can catch in such crystal clear water. Well, such a catch is also a result. And we move on. This video showed that these fishermen skipped physics classes in school. So, what do we see? A motorboat is moving at quite a high speed along the river. Suddenly, a second boat appears, moving even faster. The competitors quickly overtake the video author. The trailing fishermen accelerate and try to catch up with the leaders. But here's the problem. The boat suddenly capsizes, and the fishermen almost ended up feeding the fish. Why did this happen? I want to conduct an informative mini-lesson for you. When the second boat overtook the first, it left a powerful wake behind. These are turbulent flows that form due to the rotation of the propeller and the movement of the hull through the water. The water in this wake becomes uneven, with waves, eddies, and sharp pressure drops appearing. The first boat, having shifted into this wake, found itself in a zone of instability. The waves began to rock its hull, and the turbulent flows disrupted its stability. Essentially, this is the effect of the flow trap, where one object ends up in the unstable space created by another. It's a shame that these fishermen didn't know about it. They would have stayed dry. While I was watching this video, I couldn't shake the thought. This guy is taking a big risk with his legs. If he hadn't kept his balance, or if even one fish had tried to jump on him, the consequences could have been quite unpleasant. But the hero of this video got lucky. Well, at least nothing extraordinary was caught on tape. And who needs piranhas anyway? Are they really edible? In South American countries, especially in Brazil and Peru, piranhas are not just a threat to confuse swimmers, but quite a delicacy. They are fried, boiled, baked, and even added to soups. They say the meat is quite tasty, tender, white, and has a slight sweet flavor. But there are so many bones that the process of preparing the food turns into a real puzzle. So, would you like to try such a delicacy, or have you already had a similar experience? Share your opinion in the comments. Pay attention to this video. Here unfolds a real struggle. Not for life, but to the death. Although most of the time we don't see it, since the fish rarely peeks out from under the water. But you can guess that it resisted desperately. However, strength is not infinite, and at some point, the fish seemed to tire and began to yield to the fishermen. And they, anticipating victory, hurried to grab the net and skillfully caught the prey. It seemed like, here it is, the long-awaited triumph. Those present immediately shouted with joy, as if already celebrating a successful catch. But, as it turned out, they celebrated too early. As soon as the fish was in the net, and it was time to lift it on board, something went wrong. Either the net couldn't hold and started to tear, or the construction of the net was too weak. We will never know. The only thing that can be said for sure is that the fishing trip for these guys didn't end as they planned. Well, the conclusion is simple: never celebrate too early. And now we move on to the next video. Well, friends, here's another story about how you should never let your guard down. It seemed like luck was already in your hands, the fish on the hook, the catch almost yours. But then a furry bandit bursts in and snatches the fish right from under your nose. Watch how masterfully this cat operates. No doubts, no hesitation, an instant leap out of nowhere, a precise grab, and a swift disappearance with the loot. Such a level of professionalism can only be found in ninjas. And our fisherman clearly didn't expect that his main rival wasn't the fish or even his own clumsiness. Just an ordinary cat at first glance. But the funniest part is the fisherman's reaction. Instead of anger or disappointment, laughter. After all, what can you do? The fish is gone, the catch has vanished, and the cat left behind only wet tracks and the realization of who the real hunter on the shore is. Next time, before going fishing, it's worth thinking not only about the gear, but also about potential competitors. And here he is again, the main fan of a free catch. In one of the previous videos, the crocodile already got hit on the head. Apparently, he learned his lesson. Now he acts faster and more skillfully. He even chose a smaller prey. Taking the catch from a child is certainly easier than from an adult. Look at how everything was perfectly calculated. The boy happily reels in his catch, already imagining what it will be like. The catch, and then bam! A crocodile appears and ruins all the plans completely. The fish is gone, and the boy is left only with his fishing rod and wide eyes in astonishment. The boy received a harsh life lesson, showing that even when you work hard, you won't always catch a fish from the pond. The most interesting part is the timing the crocodile chose. He knew exactly when to attack, waited until the fish was in a convenient position, and literally snatched it in a second. It feels like he had been watching the process for a long time and was just waiting for his moment. It seems that the crocodile decided to take revenge for a past failure. The only question is, if this continues, who will be his next victim? I'm not hinting at anything, but I advise you to be careful when fishing. Even if you're from places where there are no crocodiles, you never know. Now that's what I call a reaction. It seems this guy is not just a fisherman, but a true special forces professional from the world of fishing. First, he loses the rod, but instead of panicking, he makes a lightning-fast dive. And then, as if nothing happened, he immediately pulls out the fish. Look at the speed at which he operates. While others would be confused, he effortlessly grabs the rod and instantly gets back into the process. It feels like such challenging situations are routine for him. But the most impressive thing is the speed at which he reels in. It seems like in another second, the line will catch fire from the friction. And here's the result. The fish is caught, mission accomplished, the catch is secured. If he had hesitated even for a moment, everything could have ended quite differently. So the lesson for the future is to lose the rod. It's not scary if you have reflexes like this guy. But of course, it's better to just hold onto it tightly. Now you are about to witness something completely insane. Look at this shot. A calm body of water, silence, and a white spot in the water. What is it? It turned out to be a man in a white t-shirt who pulled a crocodile out from under the water. Yes, you understood correctly. This guy literally dove underwater and pulled out a real predator. However, this was not done for fun. As you can see, the crocodile had a small dog in its mouth. How did he even dare to do this? After all, crocodiles are hunting machines. Natural-born killers, with jaws that snap shut with terrifying force. But this person seems to be not just brave. He might be the only one who dared to snatch the prey right from the jaws of this monster. The dog is clearly in shock, but most importantly, it's alive. Whining, but on its feet, as it quickly ran away. This means the rescuer made it just in time. And the crocodile? Well, it clearly didn't expect such a turn of events. Yes, not all heroes wear capes. Well, friends, here we have a classic example of how not to start a day of fishing. It seemed like a simple task to make a hole, set up the gear, and wait for the catch. But something went wrong. The man got ready, took out a special drill, started it, and then the show began. The drill immediately became loose, the equipment took on a life of its own, and instead of drilling the ice, the device turned into an uncontrollable carousel. Look at how it races across the snow. It's no longer a tool, but a wild beast that the owner just can't tame. The man tries to grab it, but each time the drill breaks free, making new and more daring turns. It feels like it's either offended or decided to protest against working in such cold weather. Friends, don't forget, equipment demands respect and a firm grip. Otherwise, you might end up not only without fish but also without your tools. 4. Catching them.